today's video is going to start off a bit different because I really hadn't planned on filming it. I kind of decided at the last minute to film it. So what I have here is I have some cut files. These cut files are from the Wild Whisper design store, and I am listening to a podcast. A lot of you guys ask me what podcasts I listen to, so the one I listened to while I created this layout was from the Smithsonian, and it's called Side Door. So I received a fabulous collection of products from Wild Whisper. I got a huge box of stuff and I had to sit down and play with it. So I got the new Lake Life collection, and I got this fun embossing powder from Emerald Creek. And I cut some of the brand new cut files that are available in the Wild Whisper shop, and I wanted to play with all of my new goodies. So this isn't for a design team post. This is just because I wanted to play. So what I'm doing here is I cut the die cut twice, once in white cardstock and once in one of the pattern papers from the Lake Life collection. This embossing powder is called Dirty Sand. It's one of the new baked textures from Emerald Creek, and it's fabulous. It's so fun. So I just needed one coat over these die cut pieces. I'm just smushing down my Altenew embossing ink on top and then flipping it up. And now I'm going to go ahead and heat it. And if you watch my channel, you know that I have to do my heat embossing kind of off camera, but I do actually manage to do a little bit of this one on camera, so that's cool. So the reason I generally don't heat emboss on my tables because my table's plastic and I don't want to warp the plastic. But what I did was you know that amazing piece of glass from the picture frame that I use for like everything? I just used it as kind of like a glass buffer between the table, and it worked. So I just kind of experimented with it, but it did work because that summer was so large to emboss it. I was worried I couldn't hold it without like killing my fingers. So I did attempt to do it with that glass mat, that glass frame to use as a mat, and it did insulate it. My table got a little warm, but not too hot. So I have both of those pieces embossed and cut, and this is going to be my photo, and then you can see all the gorgeousness that is the Lake Life collection. I think that my absolute favorite box of product I get is every 6 months when I get my giant box of like 6 months worth of releases from Wild Whisper. I get so excited, and there are so many amazing collections coming. I can't even. I want to show them all. Like I want to do a giant unboxing video, but that would steal Wild Whisper's thunder, so no. They won't let me. They wouldn't appreciate that at all. So I'm going through all the cards and all the pieces of the Wild Whisper Lake Life collection, choosing the pages I want to use, and there are flares with this new collection. So usually the collections are like Project Life cards, papers, and stamps, right? This collection also has die cuts, and they're beautiful die cuts. They're cut beautifully. And flare. Again, gorgeous, beautiful flare. So now I'm going to cut a whole bunch of paper down. I'm going to cut some strips of different patterns, and I'm going to cut some strips of, I'm actually going to look at that one and say, you know what, I don't need that one. I'm going to cut some strips of patterns. I'm going to cut some strips from the branding strips, just all the colors. I'm trying to stay away from the yellow that's in the kit. I love the yellow, but for my picture, my son is wearing this red shirt, and I kind of want to downplay the red, and I felt like the yellow just brought the red to the forefront. So what I'm going to concentrate on are the patterns and styles that have the light blues and the greens. I'm also going to go ahead and pop one of these circles out of this pattern paper. The sentiment on this circle appears both in the die cut sheet and on the card, but I liked the sizing of it on the pattern paper. So I'm just going to grab one of those as I'm working along and creating my layers. So now I have these strips of paper ready to go, and I'm going to place them almost like a shelf along the bottom of my page. I'm going to put my photo on this card, and then I know I have some journaling to do, so I'm going to use that journal card. Now I'm going to use my 2 die cuts, and I'm going to kind of offset this title. So the primary title is going to be this dirty sand color from the embossing powder, and then I'm going to have this green pattern kind of poking behind it, and I'm going to place this part at the top. So I'm just getting an idea of where I want everything to go and whether I like the layers. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere the layers down because I really like them, those strips, and then I'm going to go ahead and trim everything off. So what I'm going to do now is I've taken my Distress Oxide Antique Linen ink, and I've gone ahead and I've inked up all the edges of the strips and all the edges of my paper. This ink is a fabulous, fabulous ink color to coordinate with this particular collection. It's one of the new Distress Oxides from Tim Holtz, and it's the Antique Linen, and it works really, really well with this collection. I was very happy with how it coordinated. So I'm just going to put my title down now. I'm going to make it as straight as I can. It's in this kind of scripty font, and at first when I put the days down and then when I put the summer down, I put them both on crooked because I don't know, I couldn't see it right. So my head's going to get in the way, so there's no point in you watching this. But I'm going to use my wet glue to put down, I'm going to start with the dry, but I'm going to end up with the wet glue to put down the offset embossed title. So I've started a new podcast now, in case you're wondering. Now I'm listening to Stuff You Missed in History class. And I'm going to continue and pull out these gorgeous embellishments and get embellishing my layout. So I'm going through all of the die cuts here. These die cuts are really nice, heavyweight. They're really, really nice quality die cuts. And there's lots, they're not giant and they're not huge. They're just a really nice size. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of go ahead and pop in some of these leaves. And I want to fill up that gappy place around my title. I feel like there's a lot of trapped white space going on around my title. And I'm not quite sure how I'm going to go ahead and fix that yet, but I do figure it out. So this is what my die cut is basically going to look like. I'm going to audition a couple more pieces here, but these are the die cuts that I'm going to choose to use. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of these gorgeous flare badges. I'm just going to use 2, one at the top and one down there at the bottom. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to ink up and put down all of these die cuts. And I'm still worried about that white space. I'm going to pull out the stamps. Actually, I'm going to pull out the stamps first. So some of my die cuts are getting some pop dots. I'm using thin foam squares and some just foam adhesive from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. And I'm going to go ahead and pop those up, keep them all together, and cluster all of these die cut shapes up. So I'm going to fix my white space problem with the Lake Life stamp set. I'm going to go ahead and just stamp these little leaves all around my title and around the edges. It's a soft and subtle look, but it's going to eliminate that stark whiteness that I feel like the title doesn't look like it belongs to the rest of the page, and this is going to help to pull that title into the rest of the page. So I just stamped using my Oxide Antique Linen ink and an acrylic block, mostly because there's already so much texture on this. I didn't want to try to use my stamping platform, but also because I'm only doing like 1 generation stamp, and if it kind of gets a little distressed looking, like I'm totally okay with that. I think that's a great look, and so that's my plan. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and add some pop dots, and some other little bits, and just glue everything down, and that will complete this layout. And the last bit of this layout is just going to be my journaling. I had quite a bit of journaling that I wanted to add to this page, and so this is This is one of my heavier journaling layouts. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed this layout. Please be sure to head over to the Wild Whisper store and check out some of these fun goodies, including the cut files. Have a wonderful, wonderful Friday, and I'll see you all again soon.